Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. Great show, super awesome show lined up for you today. We're talking about the Austin, Texas market in a quick little market wrap up. That'll take about 30 seconds to a minute. Afterwards, I'm going to be connecting with Elizabeth Maora, who is in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we're talking about vacation rentals. Who's leading the game, what's going on, how you get started in the vacation rental world. And then we'll have a quick conversation about springtime home buyers facing far less competition, or do they? And then some of the traits that you need to be a successful investor. That's what's coming up on the show today. Have any questions for me throughout the show? Get in touch. You can go to thinkrealty.com. Today's podcast is brought to you by Roofstock. If you're ready to buy your next investment property, then check out Roofstock, the #1 marketplace for buying and selling single-family rental homes. Featuring tenant-occupied rental properties for sale in over 20 states, Roofstock makes it easy to invest in cash-flowing real estate outside your local market. And to help you invest remotely with confidence, all properties are backed by Roofstock's industry-leading 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up for free today to find your next cash-flowing rental property at roofstock.com/thinkrealty. All right, what's going on in Austin, Texas? Roughly about 3,000 single-family home sales in the Austin metro area in April of this year, and that's a pretty large 15% jump from the same month a year ago. So April 2018 had 15% less than April of this year. And what does this mean? In April, the median single-family home price in Metro Austin reached $320,000. And this is a year-over-year increase of 1.6%. And this article you can find on bizjournals.com. And between 2012 and 2015, we saw price increases as high as 9%, said Kevin Scanlon, owner of All City Real Estate and the 2019 president of the Austin Board of Realtors. Quote, "These narrower margins are a strong indication that market prices are starting to stabilize." Are you seeing this in your neck of the woods? Maybe, maybe not. I think you are. And that's why we've brought Elizabeth onto the show today to talk about maybe some additional exit strategies and income-producing strategies that you can use in your real estate game. As usual, the suburbs far outpaced the urban core for increase in sales volume, with Austin city limits that were 889 single-family homes sales last month, and that's within the Austin city limits, and that's up roughly about 4% year over year, and the median price increased 1.1% year over year to $394,450. Housing inventory in the city of Austin is at 1.5 months. Most real estate expert believes that 6.5 months of inventory reflects a market with balanced supply and demand. So velocity is still pretty good in Austin. You can still get your home sold in that month and a half time frame, but just see if it's going to take a little bit of time to creep up to that 6.5 month mark. As it does, maybe it's a sign that you look at a different exit strategy. And Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's the month of May in Indy, so it is race time.
Hey, there you go. I've never been to an Indy race, and I'm jealous of people that live in Indianapolis. Like, I want to be there. I want to see these cars zoom by at 1,000 miles an hour. It's got to be thrilling.
It is. I was at the track last week for some of the trials, and it's cool. I live almost 30 minutes from the track,
okay,
and I can hear the race or the cars at my house.
Oh, wow, that's loud. That's pretty. But that's got to be fun. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. I know your expertise is in vacation rentals. We had you on Think Realty Radio when we were still doing radio, and I had an incredible time interviewing you. And that was like a 50-minute or 55-minute show. So we're going to see if we can condense all the great information down into here the next 15 minutes. But give us a little background of who you are and what you do.
Sure. So we do all things vacation rentals. We buy the houses for our clients, run rehabs, we do all design work, and then we're complete hosting and property management.
Okay.
So we are A to Z short-term rentals.
A to Z short-term rentals. What are some of the pros and cons of like the short-term rental market versus the single-family long-term rental market? I'm sure you get that question from investors all the time.
We do. The rule of thumb with short-term rentals is that typically you're going to gross twice what you would a traditional rental.
Okay.
In Indianapolis, we do that in our slow season, which is November through February. And then March through October, you're going to gross anywhere between 2 to 5 times what you would in a traditional rental. So the revenue, it can be significantly different.
Gotcha. I'm with you on that 100%. I mean, I feel like if I'm looking at exit strategies, I want to know 100%. Like, does it make sense for a long-term rental or does it make sense for a short-term rental? How do you pick which one is which for which market?
So it really depends on what's going on, the location of your property, as well as the amenities and the grade of the finishes of your properties. I will tell you that our more luxurious properties, we have about 7 luxury properties now, and the return on investment on those is really good. Is better than kind of our normal, so to speak, vacation rentals that are still very nice. Yeah. But the demand is there for the higher end properties. So I hate that word, it depends, but unfortunately it depends on all those factors. And for us, Indianapolis is not a traditional vacation rental market because we're urban, right? We don't have an ocean, we don't have mountains, but we have business travelers, we have families, friends that are coming in for different events. So all of those factor into the amount that you're going to get per night, and for long stays as well.
That's right. I mean, Indiana clips the north on the northwestern side. You got Lake Michigan there, but that's also Gary, Indiana. So that's a little smelly, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it's still a little smelly as you're driving through it, but you do clip Lake Michigan. So how are the beaches in Gary? Have you been out there yet?
I have not. I do know that there's a big resurgence going on for Gary. There's a whole group of guys that are doing a ton of rehabs there. Yeah. But I have not recently. Yeah,
one of my good friends, Tom Olson, I'm sure you know him as well. He has this entire project called Flipping Gary. But let's talk about the status of vacation rentals. It's definitely something that a lot of folks are getting into. But you have to be educated on it. There's certain things that you have to do right. There's certain things that if you don't do right, will go horribly wrong. So help me understand, what's the status of vacation rentals? Is this a thing that's going to continue for the foreseeable future? Is this something that I can bank on that's going to be there over the next 2, 3, 4 years? Or should I expect it going away because of regulations and the city saying, well, we're going to put a restriction on these vacation rentals?
So in my opinion, what I see, what I'm reading, what I live and breathe every day is that the demand is outpacing supply, even still. So we have Airbnb that's now valued at over $38 billion. They have over 6 million listings. And 2.5 weeks ago, Marriott has officially entered the short-term rental market as well with what they're calling homes and villas.
You took my news story away from me. I had it right here. No, it's great. It's great. But you're right. Marriott is jumping into the world. Do you think like Hilton's going to do the same thing? Maybe Hyatt? Do you think all these big chains will also jump into that world?
Absolutely. And instead of fighting against us, now they're fighting with us. Yes. And the other thing that I think is going to happen is that you're going to see the professionalization of managers in the short-term rental space. So those of us that take it very seriously, that we're passionate about it, I think our businesses are going to continue to increase. And then folks that think it's easy and you can just throw a listing on Airbnb, we're going to see those folks just kind of go away. Yeah, you're definitely separating the men from the boys and the women from the girls and the riff-raff from the riff? I don't know, but you know what I mean. I don't know where I was going with that. But it is really good to see that some of these larger players are in the game. Does that mean that they'll just take all the business away? Or is there still a lot of business to be had for your single investor that has maybe 2 or 3 vacation rentals? Oh, there's tons of business available. The other thing is that the hotel model, they've been doing this industry for a long time, and it's a completely different model than short-term rentals. So I think they are going to have a pretty steep learning curve. They'll get it, no problem. I mean, you have a lot of very smart people working on it, but it's a very different business dynamic. So you have folks that are, they love the hotels, and that's great. And you have folks that they don't want to go to a big chain. So they're going to stay with the short-term rentals.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm really feeling the short-term rental market. And even when we connected about it, maybe I think 3 months ago on radio, it was a very, like, I still had the same feeling. And my feeling is I got to get in. Why Indianapolis? I mean, I know you live there. I know the market is really good there. I think, if I remember correctly on radio, we talked about the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of decrease in overall home sales price during the Great Recession, 2008, 9, and 10, 11. Is that a reason why Indy is a good market, that you're not really affected by the tumultuous markets, so the tumultuous, say, the stock market or anything like that on a national scale that poses a threat to your local economy?
I think that's a part of it. But the other
Okay.
thing is that Indy is so diversified. We have medical, aerospace. Our tech industry is just blowing up. It's really cool, everything that's going on here. And then we have all the other industries as well. So we have the industry to pull jobs in, to pull people coming in, and so we have that base that's here and that's staying. And our cost of living is still very, very low considered to all the other larger cities in the US.
That's right. What do I need to know as an investor getting into this market? How do I capitalize on it? What are some of the key things that I need to know about? We have about 3 minutes.
Okay, sure. So number one, I would say this is not a get rich quick scheme, so to speak. So it takes time to build up revenue, to build up reviews and ratings for you. So just keep that in mind. You really want to look at your numbers. What are you after? Do you want cash flow? Are you after appreciation? Can you wait for a little bit on the cash flow? Those are really, really key factors. I'm very big in what are your numbers, and know what they are. So make sure you know what they are. I would also say that obviously look at all the market, what's going on in that particular area. And then if you're not going to manage that, you want to hire a management company that's very dedicated and passionate about what they do.
That's right. And that's also where you come in. I mean, you have a good base of investors. You understand property management. You understand the white glove service that goes along with this. You understand that it's going to cost a little more than just your regular property management for your single family rentals, because this is a day over day, night over night turnaround. And it's not cheap to do this. So if you want it done right, you'll have to pay a little bit of a premium for it. That makes sense. What are some regulations that I need to be aware of as an investor for short-term rentals?
That all depends on the state, city, and county level. In Indiana, we're protected by House Bill 1035, so we're allowed to do vacation rentals in either our personal property or vacation properties.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they passed this bill. It was effective July 1st of last year. So our legislator was way ahead of the game. But you definitely want to know in your area if the city or the county have different ordinances on short-term rentals.
Got it. Help me understand some of the numbers for short-term rentals here. What kind of ROI should I be looking at? Let's say I purchase a $110,000. Is that maybe accurate? $110,000, $150,000 rental. If I'm putting down 20%, my cash on cash, what should I expect it to be in the Indy area? You cannot say that. To say that 5 times fast.
Well, it goes back, unfortunately, to that word that I don't really like, but it depends. If we're saying a higher end house, so if you're gonna to get a really good one at 150, I will just tell you this, that we have gross rents of anywhere between, for all of our properties, between 2,200 to 6,200 last month.
Wow. Okay. So for those that are 2,200 in gross rents, what was the acquisition price for that?
So in that case, that is a client of ours that it's their personal property and they're traveling for an entire year.
Wow.
So and that's in a really cool area called Sobro. Stands for South Broad Ripple. That's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And then our 6,200 house that grossed that last month it's actually a 3-bedroom, 4 full bath house built by a custom builder in a very hip area called Fountain Square. So
I'm jealous. Yeah, no, like I said, I'm coming to Indy. Like, that's going to happen. We need to make this happen. Elizabeth, thanks so much for joining me on the Think Realty video podcast. It's so much fun doing video now than only radio and audio, because people get to see how pretty my guests are. And thank you so much for just joining me for a few minutes and sharing and talking shop and sharing some insights about the vacation rental market and, of course, Indianapolis. If they want to get in touch with you, if our listeners and viewers want to get in touch with you, how can they do it?
Sure. My website is www.elizabethmaora, which is MAORA.com, and contact us and we will get back to you.
Awesome. Think Realty Nation. That's Elizabeth Maora. Make sure you get in touch with her. Visit Indy, and while you're there, check out a race or two. We'll be right back. This segment is brought to you by Narada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit www.turnkeyrealestateinvestments.com. So, what'd you think? Great conversation with Elizabeth Maora. Make sure that you get in touch with her, especially if you're looking at the vacation rental investing idea in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's get to a couple more topics, and then we'll go ahead and finish out the show here for you all today. The first one I want to talk about is that springtime home buyers face far less competition. It's actually quite staggering. Redfin did a study, and there's not a whole lot of a bidding war right now that's going on. Very, very interesting. If you can see this graph, and at some point we're going to get it up on the screen here too, but at some point, there we go, boom, right there. And right there is how low the bidding wars really are. And this is talking about the Bay Area specifically. The chief economist at Redfin, Daryl Fairweather, had a couple of thoughts about this. Quote, right now could be as good as it gets for buyers who want to avoid getting involved in bidding wars and price escalations. There are many forces at play that may lure buyers back and create more competition in the near future. Interest rates are low compared to last year. Price growth has stalled and even fallen in some West Coast markets, which we've actually seen. The other good part is wages are growing, which is also helpful. The red-hot San Francisco Bay Area market was the most competitive most competitive metro. Excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words here, in the nation in April. However, it too reported that just 22% of offers faced heavy competition, which is down from 75% a year earlier. So what does that tell you? Springtime, baby. I mean, there could be some opportunities here. Multiple billion-dollar San Francisco-based startups, companies are going public this year, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Bay Area bidding wars coming back. And this is, again, what Fairweather is saying. So in terms of some of the other metro areas around the country that have faced competition in this year, April of 2019, San Francisco, 22%, Phoenix, Arizona, 20% of those homes that were listed faced, and this is Redfin offers that faced competition in April of this year. San Diego, 19%, Denver, 18%, Boston, 18%, Los Angeles, California, 17%, Austin, Texas, 17%, Portland, 17%, Chicago, 15%, and Seattle, 15%. Very, very interesting. April 28th, these are pretty staggeringly higher numbers. Again, starting from top to bottom, San Francisco, 75% of Redfin offers that faced competition in April of 2018. Again, this was last year, 2018. Phoenix, Arizona, 42% compared to 20%. San Diego, California, 64% compared to 19%. Denver, Colorado, 56% compared to 18%. Boston, Massachusetts, 75% compared to 18%. And then, of course, Seattle, Washington, 72% compared to 15%. So where do you think the market is? Where do you think does this fall in line with your local market? Let us know. Get in touch. Go to thinkrealty.com. All right, on to the next one, the top 7 traits of a real estate investor, the top 7 traits of a successful real estate investor. This was written by David Green, who's a contributor to Forbes, I think the Forbes community there. The first one, knowledge. Knowledge. There's no substitute for knowledge, which I totally agree with. You need to have a good, solid foundation of knowledge, foundation of information to get started. Not only about the property and how to analyze the deal, but more specifically, the location. The number 2 thing that he talks about, the number 2 trait, the second topmost trait that he's found, patience. You don't want to just buy something willy-nilly or get into a bidding war like what we were just talking about. Be patient, stay calm, and real estate on. How about that? I think that's kind of cool. My producer's looking at me in the window. He's like, you should make a t-shirt out of this. I can't believe that. So patience makes sense. Number 3, vision. What can you do with the property? And do you think this market can sustain growth and can sustain that rental property if you're looking at a buy and hold for the long term? Number 4, efficiency. And not only if you're doing a renovation, but also property management. Is your property management efficient? Is your crew to do renovations efficient? Because, it's not that time is money. I think that's a big slap in the face to time. But if you're going to be inefficient with money, boy, oh boy, I guarantee you're probably also being very inefficient with time. Relationship building, super important trait for a successful real estate investor. You want to be building the right relationships, not only with real estate attorneys and title companies, but also your contractors, your handymen, your handywomen, your appraisers, your real estate agents, your lenders, your investors, your brokers. These people matter to you. And last but not least, leverage. We talk about it all the time here on Think Realty. Leverage matters. Other people's money, other people's time. And more specifically, we're talking about money. How do you raise it? How do you treat your investors? These things matter. So, a good trait for a good real estate investor, for an excellent real estate investor, is leverage. That's the time that we have for the show today. If you have questions, get in touch. Go to thinkrealty.com. You can also find me anywhere online on social media. If you're watching this podcast, you can follow me anywhere here. Or you can just find me on Instagram at Abhi Golhar. My LinkedIn game's picked up pretty well recently, so certainly reach out there if you'd like as well. This podcast is brought to you by Roofstock. If you're ready to buy your next investment property, then check out Roofstock, the #1 marketplace for buying and selling single-family rental homes. Featuring tenant-occupied rental properties for sale in over 20 states, Roofstock makes it easy to invest in cash-flowing real estate outside your local market. And to help you invest remotely with confidence, all properties are backed by Roofstock's industry-leading 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up for free today to find your next cash-flowing rental property at roofstock.com/thinkrealty. Think Realty Nation, it's a wrap. Get in touch. Go to thinkrealty.com. We have a magazine. It's called Think Realty Magazine. You can pick it up at Barnes & Noble. I would have questions. I just told you where to go to get them answered. Until next time, happy investing.